Stand by alert. Death Star approaching. Estimated time to fire range.
Bad feeling about this. 177 of the Skyhoppers podcast. I am one of your hosts, Ben, and I'm joined, as always, by my lovely co-hosts, Cole, Dakota, and Emma.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Is this 2 recordings in a row where all of us have been here?
Yeah, it's kind of a miracle.
Kind of
It's
unheard
magic.
of. Kind of unheard of. It is a little unnerving, but what was really fun was in After Hours we played our Pokemon randomizer again, and Cole got to be on the podcast for it the first time and was exposed to many moves, such as aromatherapy, that left him thinking, what is that? What is that? Because Cole has not played a game since Gen 2? Is that what you said?
Well, I played Gen 1 and Gen 2, and then Sun. And I played Black since then. Right. My level of exposure is weird.
In his own little world.
That was actually another fun thing I did. I popped Black into my 3DS earlier, and was just like, what's going on over here? And I forgot I'd transferred all my Pokemon off of it. So, I had nothing, but I'm running around, and now I have a team of Scraggy, Sandile, Darmanitan, Pidove, and an Unknown.
Nice.
Yeah, and I accidentally wandered into the Elite Four, didn't realize that it was going to, actually put me in the Elite Four, and I'm like, these Pokemon suck. My highest level is 35, and then Caitlyn throws out the level 70 Musharna or whatever. And
did you just get totally wrecked?
I got destroyed. It was disgusting. And it's the worst, too, because Caitlyn was like, you again. Don't waste my time with a boring battle. And I'm like, oh no, I'm sorry. I need you to kill me.
Oh, you remember me, huh? Guess what? My team is significantly worse than it used to be.
It's crazy. Yeah, I really took a step down. Anyway, this is not a Pokemon podcast.
For as little as $1 a month, you can listen to our Pokemon podcast, though.
And bully me in Discord.
Yeah.
And name our Pokemon.
And name our Pokemon. Aw, beans.
Beans.
Anyway, this is a Star Wars podcast. Skyhoppers podcast has already spawned a Pokemon spinoff. I don't think we need another one. What, if anything, is going on in the world of Star Wars this week? I personally have been buzzing. I just feel like I'm back in that hyperfixation mode. Because I got a few things in the mail the other day. I got Dakota, I thought you were just drinking wine out of the bottle. I didn't realize that was a Corona, and I'm like,
no, it's Corona the size of my face.
Okay, so it is bigger than normal. Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
it is
sorry,
a pint.
That really threw me off. But anyway, in the mail the other day, I got a book. Actually, I'm going to get off my bookshelf.
Get it.
Very on brand for me. I feel like it might be a book that encapsulates me better than maybe any other book that I own.
Ooh.
Because A, the subject matter will be obvious. B, it concerns.
It's probably about Star Wars.
Subject matter Star Wars?
It is, but specific. There's specific subject matter. B, it concerns a role-playing game that I've never played.
Oh, that is so brand.
Yeah, it is this supplement for the Wizards of the Coast D20 game, Secrets of Tatooine. I'm trying to not have the glare. It's got this really nice yellow spine. Yeah, for those who can't see and aren't watching the video, you can obviously look it up.
Podcast.
The Skyhoppers podcast. Exactly. It's got 2 nicely painted Skyhopper, T-16 Skyhoppers, racing through a canyon on Tatooine. Twin suns in the background. It is a a lot of fun. It has stats on pod racers. It has everything.
Send me that page, baby.
It has everything you could possibly want. And now I have it for my collection. I also...
fine addition, some might say.
Oh, I would say. And I also ordered
I would
some...
say. I want to play it.
Grievous.
Dakota, it looks like it actually might be fairly easy to adapt to the Fantasy Flight system, but we can talk about that. We can talk about that a little bit. And I also picked up the folio of the character sheets for the D20 game, which of course is not at all required. But I am broken, and I saw that. I'm like, oh, that'd be cool to have. And it's kind of cool. They have like there's like a character creation kind of guide as you're on one side of the little folio there. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty cool. I'm glad to have this. But, obviously you can get those literally for free online without really doing too much work at all. But those have been the additions to my collection. I'm also waiting on last little bit of talking I'll do for now, I promise.
Oh, then I've got something.
Okay.
Ooh.
I'm waiting on some creatively sourced Blu-rays for Book of Boba Fett and Kenobi.
Ooh.
Some might say we love physical media on this
Some
podcast.
might say we love physical media. Dakota is shaking
Some
his
might
head. No.
say Dakota is shaking their head, and we apologize to them profusely every single day that we record this podcast.
Hey, our love of physical media is being justified every day by what stupid decisions streamers make.
Exactly. They're obviously not going to go into detail, and Disney Plus has been, really stable. So we really can't say anything specifically about Disney Plus, but it's like, hey, did you want to see that Batgirl movie? Sorry.
Too bad.
I mean, yes,
Too bad.
it's not happening.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to see it so bad.
I think there's a very good chance at some point in the future we'll get it.
I think so too. It exists. Why would they not?
Yeah.
Or
at least
Like different people will
would
come into power to make it to happen, or it'll get stolen. But
Yes.
Either
way.
I'm good with either way. And I rolled my eyes and shook my head already about us talking about physical media. But I did pick up a copy this week at a yard sale of Solo on Blu-ray.
And you said that was the only one you didn't have?
No, I also still don't have Rise of Skywalker.
Oh.
But now I only am missing the one. And I got a PS4 copy of Battlefront.
Nice.
Yeah, the original
One
Battlefront.
or two?
One.
Okay.
It's
Also at the
obviously
same yard sale.
I never actually played Battlefront 1.
I don't know that I will either.
I think when it came out, I didn't have... Because wasn't that 2015?
Yep, it's 2015.
Yeah, so when it came out, I was in high school. And
that is messed up. I was in my senior year of college. Oh my god.
The second I was like, I'm going to say that I was in high school in 2015, I was like, this is going to upset everyone on this podcast.
Everyone. Literally, no one liked that. No one liked that.
Listeners, I hope you also dislike that and you feel bad about
Ron
yourself.
Howard voice. No one liked
that. But 2015, I was in high school and I also did not have a PlayStation 4.
Mm-hmm.
And by the time I got a PS4, Battlefront 2 was out. And I was listening to Star Wars podcasts when Battlefront 1 came out. And everybody basically was like, this seems like a cool tech demo, and that's it. And so when I had my PS4 and Battlefront 2 already existed, I was like, why would I buy Battlefront 1? Especially because, Walmart is a great place to go when you want cheap games. And yet, they were still selling Battlefront 1 for like $40+
that's
after Battlefront 2 came
insane.
out. And I was like, as much as I would love to have Battlefront 1 for my little physical game collection and to like give it a shot, I'm not buying that thing for $40.
No.
And if
I got mine for $3.
If I can't get it for cheap at Walmart,
it's like
$3, I would have bought it. Yeah.
And I might play it once, and I'm guessing I'll be like, yeah, this isn't the kind of game I like, and then I will never play it again. But
well, you can
have it.
You can play. They updated it to add a like an offline single player bot
okay.
mode. Yeah, and you can put them all on easy. So like you can have
So
have
I
fun
might have
running
fun.
around. Yeah, you might have fun. Like I understand you're not into shooters that much,
Yeah.
but don't count it out because you could have a lot of fun.
Sure.
And that's
I'll give it a go.
Okay, I appreciate that. That's all I ask because I do think that game. I have a lot of conflicting feelings on Battlefront 2015.
I'm going on Steam right now to look up how much it is on there because
it's just because it's clear the game. Even if we're
I'm
looking,
still not gonna buy it, but I'm curious if they finally lowered the price, and if they've lowered the price, it would be on Steam.
I'm pretty sure you can find it at like GameStop or Game Exchange, whatever used, for like $5 to $10.
Yeah.
See, it's still $20 on Steam, which I feel like is still too expensive.
Does it?
Like Walmart
does
still
it
has
come
it for
with?
like
Does it come with all the DLC?
Yes. This is the
Okay.
Ultimate Edition.
That is
I don't
more
know
reasonable.
if they're selling
but
the not Ultimate Edition.
well, I don't know why they would. There's literally no reason to play it if it doesn't have all of the DLC. That's what's unfortunate. Is like, it was an incomplete game when it launched. There was not a ton of content, even if you were looking at multiplayer-focused content. There just wasn't a lot of it. But I've been a fan of DICE for a long time. I really wanted to like Battlefront 2015. Battlefront 2, obviously, famously, one of the worst launches in history, I think. But the game itself, like right now, that game is a ton of fun to play. There's a ton of content, a ton of different game modes, online,
I don't think
offline.
Battlefront 2 launched poorly. I think the marketing was bad. Because by the time the game existed, they did away with the things that were an issue.
Yeah, but I would argue by that point the damage was done.
You still can't get rid of the Reddit outrage because
that's what I mean.
It was well deserved.
That's what I mean. It's again, it was. I'm not going to defend what is most likely a kind of a publisher level
point in the games industry was Battlefront 2.
That's what I mean. Famously, it is so. That launch was so maligned. Yeah, you're right. The game itself worked fine on launch, but that was the problem. Everything was working as intended, including the incredibly broken and manipulative, exploitive economy.
Yeah.
You see, you say that was a turning point, but then a game like Diablo Immortal is still allowed to exist, and it's like, oh my god, we've learned nothing.
That one also, though, has the caveat of mobile game.
That's true. They are very different.
Yeah.
Very different.
I don't think that they could have gotten away with Diablo Immortal if they were just like, this is a PS5 game.
No. No, I think you're totally right.
So, yeah. Mobile games, they'll exploit you, they'll take your money. But after Battlefront 2, you better be careful with what you do with your microtransactions, because, buddy, Reddit will kill you.
Yeah, and make it so that...
This little game really wants my money, and I won't do it.
Is it the Marvel? What is it? A puzzle?
Yes.
It's yeah. No, and it's hard. I'm not gonna go down that rabbit hole. We don't.
Yeah, we don't have to do that.
Transactions here, because God knows I want to, but we don't need to. We have Star Wars to talk about. And Eva, you said that you have something that you added to your collection.
Yeah, show us.
I don't have anything to show
tell
you,
us.
but I have been adding things to my collection, and that is PlayStation trophies, as I have returned to Lego Star Wars to get that
beautiful
platinum. So I've got I don't have my phone with me, so I can't look specifically, but I am about halfway through. I've 100%ed Camino. Obviously, First World, I had to 100%.
of course.
And also because that was one of the easier trophies, because you have to 100% basically the whole game, so it's going to take a while. But
so
some of the planets are grouped together, so like one trophy will be like complete these 3 planets, but Camino, you get 1 trophy for just finishing Camino. So I was like, easy one, knock it out. I've 100%ed episode 1 and 2, and I think 4 maybe.
Wow.
So I'm getting there. I've beaten all 9 episodes. I'm working through it. I've gotten quite a few of the characters. I've gotten the trick for any dear listener wanting to play the heck out of Lego Star Wars and get all the stuff is save up to get the stud multipliers. Because I've got the 8 times stud multiplier right now, and you can unlock so many bad boys with that. So, that is my Star Wars journey right now. For a while I was like, I don't know if I'm going to commit to the Platinum anymore. I don't know if I want to do that. And then I started playing it again over the weekend, and I was like, this is all I care about. So, I will continue to update, but that is where I'm at.
Should get back into it, but I just really want to be playing Pokemon all the time.
Oh my god. Me too.
But I took a break after the prequels, and I haven't gone back. So
yeah, when I picked it up over the weekend, I guess I had done. I don't know what I was up to because I just picked and chose and did episodes as I wanted to because I didn't care.
Good.
When I got back, I had the last movie of every trilogy left. So I finished everything. I had Revenge of the Sith to do, Return of the Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker. And I was like, huh, interesting. So I finished Revenge of the Sith because I was like, gotta see my boy. Then I was like, okay, I'm gonna have Rise of Skywalker in the middle.
Yeah,
and then I did a little palate cleanser with Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
Gotta get that Tross meat.
That makes so much sense.
Gotta get that Tross meat in there.
Yeah, so the Rise of Skywalker game, like, Lego version, I think it's still good. Like, it's still fun. Like, I wouldn't say it's worse in quality than any of the other episodes. But I do think that it kind of suffers from, like, the movie's pacing. Because, like, love it or hate it, the Rise of Skywalker has, like, really weird pacing.
Oh my god, yes.
And so, like, the game kind of, like, doesn't seem like, and I empathize with the developers. Like, I don't think this is the developers' fault because, like, you know, how do you take the Rise of Skywalker and condense it into, like, 5 solid levels? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because so much happens. And I was like...
So much unrelated, like, plot lines. Like,
My new hobby has been, like, when I'm playing a game, I'll stream it to my YouTube channel, like, unlisted, and send the link to Brooklyn, and we'll, like, hang out and, like, she watches me play games or whatever. And as I was playing Rise of Skywalker, I was like, am I crazy, or does this episode have the longest cutscenes compared to any of the other episodes? Because she also, like, has it on Switch and has been playing it. And she was like, no, that's true. Because most of the cutscenes in LEGO Star Wars are like, here's a quick thing, here's a physical gag and a joke, and you're on to the next thing. And I was, like, sitting through cutscenes for Rise of Skywalker for, like, 2, 3, 4 minutes because they had to be like, here's all this random story stuff. Ray Palpatine related now. I don't know, go fight on this thing. And I was like, okay, like, this isn't, like, bad. Like, the levels were still really fun. It was just, like, weird because they had to try to fit all of the Rise of Skywalker into 5
I imagine
levels.
It's like,
that makes sense.
I imagine they have to, like, cutscene all of the stuff with the planet with the Zori and this Chewbacca rescue and stuff.
That was the weird thing.
Was that a level?
So that was a level, and I think it was. I haven't played my least favorite levels right now are tied between the one on Hoth and Empire Strikes Back, just because I think it's too big and spread out for no reason. Where they make you, like, go and take down a bunch of communications towers and do stuff, and it just seems like they were like, we want you to have something to do on Hoth, and so they just, like, made you do random stuff that's not super fun. But I think the worst levels in the game are tied between the Hoth level, when you play as Han in Empire Strikes Back, and the one on, what is it?
Kijimi?
Kijimi,
yeah. Because the Kijimi one, it's like, you play as Finn or Rey, or C-3PO, but, I mean, I don't know. Like, I love that man, but you can't do anything with him. Yeah, true. His one downfall. But you play as the 3 of them as Poe, like jumps from rooftop to rooftop trying to lead you through to avoid the Empire. So they tried to make it a stealth mission, but it's not a good stealth mission, and it lasts way too long. Like, I think it's the level. I would say that like it's one of the levels that took me the longest to do, just because you're like, why am I having to do the same thing like 10 times in a row, which is basically just avoid stormtroopers and jump over things and like open doors and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is annoying because like the rest of the game is so good, and even the other levels in the Rise of Skywalker are fun. But that one was really weird, and I thought it was really weird that they picked that for a level.
Yeah, that's it. I was like, I was sure they would just cutscene that because
From what I can remember, the first
Take
one
it out,
was
dual
like,
pilot, and that would
the
be
first
it.
one was good too because like the first level for Rise of Skywalker is a ton of fun, but they do the opening scene where you're piloting the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, the hyperspace.
Which-
Doing all the that's it.
Which is
Everyone's favorite
interesting
thing.
because that's not even in the movie, really. Like, in the movie, they open up and they're basically already done with that, and they get the information and they're like, bye. But
it's the opening of a James Bond movie where it starts, at the end of a mission.
yeah. So they had that. They had the one on Kijimi. They had... I can't remember what else. They had the one
Sand
with
Planet?
Rey. They had the one with Rey on the Death Star fighting Kylo.
Mm-hmm.
The Sand Planet with Lando, maybe?
Yes, yeah. They had one there where you have to, like, escape through the tunnels and stuff down there.
It's called Pisana, Cole.
I know, and I just read a book about it, too, and I don't
You
remember
literally just read a book about it. Yeah, that's embarrassing for you.
a little bit.
And
And
then
I
the
remembered
last one-
Kijimi of all things.
The last one, obviously, Exegol,
Yeah.
Yeah.
of course. But yeah, it was strangely paced, I think, through no fault of the developers, and they did the best that they could with trying to figure out what you can make levels out of from
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker, but it was definitely like I don't know, it was just like playing it, you could be like, yeah, Rise of Skywalker is like the weird stepchild of the Star Wars franchise, not in terms of, love it or hate it, but like the pacing's just weird.
It is.
And it was like,
Yeah,
what am I
it
supposed to do
is.
with this?
It is, one way or the other. And that's, I mean, that... I've often talked about how usually my favorite viewing of a Star Wars movie in the theater is my second one.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I watched The Rise of Skywalker, I was like, wow, that first 25 minutes was, like, crazy. It was going so fast. But it was probably just, it was probably just me, right? And then,
just because I was really excited to be watching this
and then you
movie.
watch it again, it's like, no, it really just jumps around that much. It's really just all over the place like that.
Yep.
Oh, I will say that I don't know if I'll have time this weekend, but I am. I was realizing while playing LEGO Star Wars that I have not sat down and watched the sequel trilogy as a trilogy since it came out. Really, like I've obviously rewatched the 3 movies individually, but I've never been like, I'm going to watch them all in close proximity to see how I feel about them as a trilogy. I am hoping on planning to do that soon, because I was like, maybe my feelings on Rise of Skywalker will be different if I actually like watch it as a cohesive unit instead of like a random movie that I saw 3 years after the last one came out. Like,
I appreciate that optimism. I personally know how you feel about that movie and don't think your feelings are going to change.
No,
But
I don't think so either,
that's a good thought, though. Like,
It is, I
I
respect
don't know
that.
that I've done that either.
I don't think I've done that for any of the trilogies. Really,
Well,
sat
I know-
down and watched them as a...
Oh, I've definitely done it with the prequels and the OT.
Yeah.
But
Whenever
so
Rise of
I
Skywalker
kind
came
of want
out,
to try that
I
too.
did. I watched The Force Awakens and Last Jedi like the day before.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I did that.
I didn't
I've
do
done
that.
But
I feel like it's not going to help. But I do also want to try it. I'm just less optimistic.
I think the thing about the Rise of Skywalker that's been hard for me, not to get on this train again, is that the more distance I've had from it, the more the things that I really disliked, I continue to really dislike, but the things I liked, I love. So
Yeah.
it's like, I think about the Rise of Skywalker and I'm like, ugh, I'm not a fan of Rey Palpatine, but then I think about the Rise of Skywalker and I'm like, that's C-3PO's best movie and I adore him in that. And so it's like, now I'm like, there's almost no neutral area with the Rise of Skywalker where I'm either like, that part really sucks, or I'm like, that part rocks and it's phenomenal, and there's no in between.
Well, wait, hold
Yes,
up,
Cole,
hold up,
exactly.
hold up. Are you saying that if there's like 1 or 2 things in a movie that don't work well, we don't have to write the whole thing off? Because I don't know if I believe that.
I love Ben.
I think we need to throw the whole thing out. If
The
there's
whole trilogy.
If there's one bad thing.
You have to write the whole thing.
I think that's what's been difficult about my opinions on The Rise of Skywalker is that I'm so used to everything being polarized on the internet that I feel like I can't have a mixed opinion of the movie.
No, and it's ruined you. You can't have a mixed opinion. It's fine. C-3PO is great in that movie.
Yeah.
He's
and it's
fantastic.
like talking to
Babu Freak is amazing.
Yeah,
hey!
And it's like talking on this podcast, I feel like I am safe and among friends, and then you guys get it. But then I try to explain my feelings on The Rise of Skywalker to like any other friend in passing, and I'm like, there's no way for me to talk about this movie without feeling like I'm coming off as like
psychotic,
like a Star Wars jerk, like a Star Wars jerk, and I'm like, I don't mean it that like it's so stupid, and the internet sucks, and I wish that I could be
controversial, but
yeah.
I think that
I'm like, it's so hard to tell people like I dislike parts of The Rise of Skywalker, but I'm not angry about it.
Yeah.
Like it's like
yeah. I think that movie. Oh, I was just gonna. I think that movie is the one where we all like have things we really don't like about it, but there are also things that we really like about it.
Yeah.
I think we all have the most mixed feelings about it. Of course, out of like all 9 of them. Probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
I do think I've definitely softened on it since I first saw it, but I mean, also it's been like multiple years, and that like the gut reaction was almost so strong that I remember my gut reaction to the movie more than I remember the movie.
Mm.
So, which
it's
is
a strong gut reaction that left a bruise. It's slowly healing.
Yeah. Well, it's hard too because I was as we're talking about this, I'm thinking, and I'm like, would I still say that definitively it is my least favorite Star Wars movie? And I think that I would.
Yeah, I would.
But I also think in this little thought experiment, if George Lucas made the exact same movie, I would be like, no, I think this is better than Revenge of the Sith for me. I think that part of my issue is knowing.
Insane.
I know. I think part of it is this is me being cynical, you know, because that was my buzzword on Road Skywalkers last night was cynical, and it's like it's me being cynical and knowing that it's like this so much of this existed to please fans who were never going to be happy no matter what.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's like that George Lucas would not have done that. So
well, I try not to. Yeah, I mean, I guess I get what you mean now. And at first, when you said it, I was like, I don't know if I like. You just put directed by George Lucas, and like all of a sudden Ben's fine.
No.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the thing with the sequels though is that, like, I don't have a problem with any of them, and I like all of them in their own way. But I don't think that, and I don't mean this in a way of like George can do no wrong, because I think George has done
frequently done wrong.
But I don't think that George would have made the sequel trilogies at all in the way that they were presented to us by Disney. Like,
no.
Basically in any manner. So trying to figure out like what The Rise of Skywalker by George Lucas would have looked like is almost impossible to me, because he would not have made The Last Jedi or The Force Awakens.
He wouldn't have, and I didn't mean to imply that like George Lucas would make a movie like that. It was just like, to me there's an element of intent that maybe I'm just a pretentious douchebag and I'm holding, you know, I'm looking at the wrong things because
like, I know there was no artistic integrity here, but if George Lucas was there, I would believe there was some.
Yeah.
So,
and when you say it like that, I'm like, oh, I'm the worst. But
well, I mean, I do think that it would help that if George Lucas made it, regardless of whether or not it was all the same director, there would have been like the one creative through line.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that we got that a little bit, like J.J. Abrams, you know, bookended it and like stuff like that. But I mean,
unfortunately,
J.J. Abrams is not good at ending things, and I don't just mean that with The Rise of Skywalker. Like, his whole track record is like, I'm really good at starting stuff, but if you want me to finish it, I will ruin your life. And it's like, okay.
There's like 2 things he's ever finished, and that's like Star Wars and Felicity, I think.
Yes.
Well, everything else is like projects he started and, you know, gone and done something else, and somebody else has finished it off. And it's like, okay, it's just not his thing.
And I don't think they needed to have the sequels like planned out in advance, like some people do, because Star Wars has never been planned out in advance. George Lucas just like throws stuff and does it.
Han Solo was gonna be in the freaking Revenge of the Sith. Shut up.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
but I do think that
stuff.
like, and I don't think it needed to be George, whether or not it was JJ or a Kathleen Kennedy or whoever, but I feel like it would have helped if they'd had like one creative person working really in depth on all three instead of kind of splitting it up and giving scripts to different, I don't
know. And I agree with you, but at the same time, there is something to be said for having different creatives work on Star Wars on projects across, like something like The Mandalorian, right? Where it's
but The Mandalorian has Dave Filoni and
it does. You're right.
Like that's what I mean is that sure The Mandalorian has different directors working on it, but in the background there's two guys that are working with them for the whole season who are writing the story and are heavily involved in helping the directors and stuff like that. So I'm not saying that the sequels needed the same writer and the same I mean the original trilogy isn't directed by the same people.
No.
So but George and his wife, who's, is the reason we have Star Wars, let's be honest. But, we're there to, help the whole time. And I think the sequel trilogy needed somebody who was more hands-on and helping the whole time.
Yeah.
Just
and
like
honestly,
Dave
the way the sequel trilogy...
The whole time for Mando.
Yeah, the way the sequel trilogy started off production-wise even, I think, wasn't necessarily a bad idea. Like, they had J.J. Abrams come in and make the first movie. And while he was making that, Rian Johnson was writing and working on production of Last Jedi. And then the same thing was going on with Colin Trevorrow during The Last Jedi. He was working on his version of Episode 9 based on what was going on with the production of Last Jedi. But then all that got flushed and started over. So, it's one of those weird situations where there was some kind of, flow through line, or at least, I don't know, there was some carryover, passing the baton going on. And
I guess you're right.
And then at the end they saw what Colin Trevorrow was working on, or, got cold feet for whatever reason, trashed it, and brought in JJ to, make his own Episode 9. And so it was
that's an interesting point, was that maybe there was, at some point, there was some consideration there, but having the director switch for The Rise of Skywalker, because if you ask me, I do think The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi work together. Those two movies do work together.
Definitely.
I think that's why The Rise of Skywalker parts of it are so hard for me, is because I watched The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, and I'm like, I understand how you get from point A to point B. And then you watch The Rise of Skywalker, and you're like, we did not need A or B, we just needed point C, because that starts and ends the whole trilogy in one movie.
Yeah,
I think that's where the disconnect for me is, storytelling-wise. And then, of course, there are some, fan service bits I don't particularly care for, but those I can get over, because it's like, do I think Luke Skywalker lifting the X-Wing is cheesy? Yeah. Does that mean that I'm not going to be able to push that out of my mind to be like, that's okay to have in there? That's fine. I don't care about that.
That is exactly how I feel, too. I feel the exact same way about it. But that's interesting, Cole. I'm going to be chewing on that for a little bit. I'm still thinking about you, maybe
it's one of those things. It's I don't know that Colin Trevorrow's Episode 9 would have been a good movie or would have made the trilogy super cohesive, but I think it's something worth thinking about.
It could have made more sense with the other movies we had.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I certainly don't think The Rise of Skywalker actually explicitly retcons anything from The Last Jedi. I know that was a narrative that, remember that was a thing for a while where it's J.J. Abrams hated The Last Jedi and he wanted to undo it. No, I don't think that happened at all.
Yeah, I don't think The Rise of Skywalker retcons anything. I just think it doesn't really acknowledge
exactly. It kind of does in that it doesn't really overstep anything.
Retcons by omission.
But
in a way.
yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, I didn't mean to get us on another one of our long discussions of what may or may not have happened with the sequel trilogy. I have been playing LEGO Star Wars and thought about The Rise of Skywalker a lot playing it, as I always do whenever The Rise of Skywalker comes up, because it is the only thing in Star Wars that has ever given me a conflicted feeling in my life. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I might mess around and watch it.
Well, actually, you that's actually something that I was thinking about too. Cole, I might have talked to you about that. I talked to somebody about this recently. Last weekend, I think it was last weekend. I watched Solo. And I was watching it, and it had been a little bit. And I watched it, and I'm like, this movie's so good. This movie is so good. You know, it's just like, I mean that both in terms of like entertaining, but also in terms of like, I think there's heart there. The movie has a heart, it has a soul, and it's just also very troubled. But honestly, I think at the end of the day, I probably would prefer what Ron Howard gave us versus what Lord and Miller were going to give us.
I have doubts about that, personally.
You think theirs would have been better?
I'm going entirely by Lord and Miller's track record, being basically like home run after home run. I think it would have been great. Like, I think they got cold feet about it. It would have been weirder.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say because we never saw it, but like every Lord and Miller movie I've ever seen, I've been like, that rocks.
Mm-hmm. And I can't argue with that. I can't argue that and pretend that doesn't.
And that's not impinging on Ron Howard either. I think he makes great movies too. But
sure,
you know.
I don't know that I would have. You know, for someone who's always talking about how I want Star Wars to be weirder, it's like I just don't. I don't know if I would have vibed with a Star Wars comedy.
I think it would have felt less Star Warsy.
I think it would have felt less Star Warsy, whereas the movie we got to me felt really Star Warsy.
Was very Star Warsy.
Yeah.
But I feel like the how I feel about it is I feel like there is a, like, as somebody who digests a lot of comedy material, there's kind of like the comedy blockbuster, which is almost never funny, and then like good quality comedy writing. And I feel like when they announced that they were kind of like going in a comedic direction for Solo, people's minds jumped to like, this is gonna be like Star Wars' attempt at like a big blockbuster stupid comedy.
Yeah.
Like The Hangover or something like that.
Yeah. And I don't, based on, you know, the direct, like Lord and Miller's track record and other movies that they've put out, I don't think it would have been that. I think that it might have still had a different vibe than, you know, regular Star Wars, because it might have been more lighthearted, but I don't think that it would have been, like, unbearable. Because, I mean, think about, because didn't they do Into the Spider-Verse?
Yes. Well, they didn't direct it, but they're some of the writers, producers on it. Right. They did direct the Lego Movie, and they recently did a series on Apple Plus called The After Party, which is really good.
Yeah, because I think about stuff like that where it's like it has comedic bits in it, but it doesn't feel out of place. Like they helped.
It's still got heart and good storytelling, and
so I think it would have been something more like that, where it's got heart and storytelling, but it's also got more jokes, or more outright jokes than we're used to seeing in Star Wars. But I don't think that it would have been like, you know,
okay,
I don't know, watching The Hangover like cold.
Sure,
like,
I
think it would have been more intelligent than that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's super fair. I will admit that I'm coming from a place of ignorance. I've seen the Lego Movie, but, you know, that was a long time ago. Thought it was good, but yeah, I wouldn't necessarily pair it with Star Wars. But that doesn't necessarily. But I don't know anything. I don't watch enough movies.
Well,
I
and
just
the Lego
know
movie
that
is like a kids movie too.
It's true.
You know,
it's fantastic though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like they wouldn't have made Solo like kids comedy.
No. Those are probably not direct comparisons. But yeah, I didn't mean to bring up the Solo discourse again, or what passes for Solo discourse on this podcast.
On this podcast, we're like, should Solo be funny? Whereas other podcasts are like, should
it exist?
Could Solo have been better than good?
Solo.
Yeah, I don't know. Dakota, we have a little bit of fun news.
Yes.
We do. I think we might actually be sticking with it. We've only had one session, so we'll see. But we have a plan for moving
We have
forward.
plans for another one.
I finally was able to get a Star Wars role-playing game together.
Hallelujah.
Including Dakota, our friend Seth, my friend Japan Nathan, who's talked about... Dakota met Japan Nathan.
I did, and he listens to the podcast. Hi, Nathan.
Yes, hi, Nathan. Yeah. It was funny because he was like, told Dakota,
You
like, your
still
voice
have
is so familiar.
Yeah, and I was like,
We
whoa.
still have questions.
Yeah, we do still have questions, but I think that was the first time I've ever met someone who listens to the podcast that isn't on, like, Discord.
Yeah, that you wouldn't know otherwise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he tunes in at least every once in a while. I appreciate it when he does.
So I thought that was funny.
It's always funny too because I'll talk to him and he'll mention something that's like really like obscure that we talked about on the podcast, or not like a big thing, and I'm like, oh, you actually listen and you pay attention. Yeah, you listen. It's not just on. You're not just a download number. But anyway, so we started playing that. We're running in Edge of the Empire, the Fantasy Flight system. It was a lot of fun. I think we've got a good group.
I think so too.
For as chaotic as Dakota can be, Dakota is a good role player to have in your group. And I'm glad that I've realized that, and we'll try to bring him in pretty much whenever I can, because it's nice to have it. He's a good anchor.
I think that the reason why, even though I am such a chaotic and ridiculous person, the reason why I'm still good at playing RPGs is because I often run them, and so I know what it's like to be on the other side of the table, and I'm able to keep that in mind. So I want the game to be fun for everyone.
Yeah,
so
I respect that. Anyway, I've talked about doing one for the show. The idea is still there. It's still percolating. It's going through some
an
revisions.
episode about it, right?
Yeah. Well, we did. And then Alex. I don't think we even know an Alex.
Yeah, I don't know where that
I don't
came from.
know any Alexes. I don't know who you're talking about.
I know a few Alexes. None of them are even kind of related to the podcast.
Alexandra?
Alexandra.
Oh.
Even then, I would never call her Alex.
No, but
and there are people listening who
we
are
found
like,
a collection. I mean, a connection.
Yeah, Cole just wanted to be technically correct. Technically, there is an Alex that is.
I see her on Twitter sometimes.
Yeah, Alexander, those were some good episodes. Fun times. Anyway, those are old at this point. But Austin, who is a known collaborator with the podcast, our Skyhopper Saturday episode that came out, I think that came out last week. Yeah, I put that out publicly, didn't I? You can just hear that. That's just out there. It just has a little bit of a sneak peek and just a thanks for listening. We talked a lot about the West End role-playing game there, which was a lot of fun, but anyway, if anything happens in Dakota and I's game, we will keep you apprised, I'm sure. We just basically did the beginner game. They stole the Crate Fang, which is a YT-1300, with really minimal combat. That's something I'm going to have to keep in mind moving forward, is that this group does not like to fight.
We avoided combat as best we could. I think all of us are, like, scared we're just going to get... Because our best fighter is not a fighter.
No.
So I think we're going to be avoiding that. I'm playing a Boffin named Mum. I forget her last name.
The word.
And
you get it?
What is?
Ben laughed a little bit.
Oh, and I'm a scholar.
Yeah, Dakota's a scholar. Seth is playing a dual class colonist, I think, with like technician and. Or is he a colonist?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Yeah, and he's like dual.
No, wait, no. I'm a colonist.
You're the colonist. He's the whatever the engineer. It might be technician.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And he's like dual spec.
Studied to bring us this information.
Exactly.
But Seth
all
is.
named Mum.
It's going to be interesting to write for this. There are some pre-made adventures I have that I want to follow, but it's going to be interesting to write for this and try to play to the group's strengths. That'll be fun. But anyway, like I said, if fun stuff happens there, we will keep you all apprised. What I did want to check in with Dakota about, though, I, a few weeks ago, finished Shadow of the Sith. Cole has now finally finished Shadow of the Sith. You are, like you said, roughly 3/4 of the way through Shadows of the Sith?
I am, indeed. I am on chapter 41.
Wait, okay, that is probably roughly 3/4 of the way. Cole,
Yeah.
I love your little R2 there. Don't know where it came from. I'm glad I can see it.
Nice.
Eva's got the Boba Fett from Galaxy's Edge, yes? Yeah.
Is it bendy?
Yeah.
It's like one of those like little wooden toys with the string in
cute.
it that lets it.
I love it.
I like to put him.
He can dance.
I have a throw-on version of that.
I've got this little Bandai X-wing, but I can't sit it somewhere that you can see it.
Bug spray.
The R2 is sitting on top of my microphone.
Oh, cute. But yeah, I'm
perfectly in frame.
Thoroughly enjoying Shadow of the
Sith. Dab, but he doesn't bend that way.
Oh, so you are thoroughly enjoying it. That's
yeah,
good to
I
hear.
am. It's good.
That's good to hear. Because Cole, I believe, I don't even want to say felt differently, because that's misrepresenting what Cole told me explicitly last night. But Cole,
I don't want to misrepresent what Cole said, but Cole said that he hated it and will never read another Star Wars book again.
Can't even defend
myself. Not what happened. Cole, what are your thoughts on this book at a high level?
At a high level, it took me like 4 weeks to read it, and in the 4 days since I finished reading it, I've read 2 other books.
Wow.
So that is pretty much...
that's how I feel about
it. Like that. That's wild. I never see Eva laugh like that. That really got him.
So I'm reading 2
Cole
other Star Wars
Cole said this book made me illiterate.
Well, it's just like it was such a bummer because I'm reading it and I'm like, oh, this it's got like shades of Matthew Stover in it in a few places. Like not Matthew Stover, but like you can tell that Adam Christopher really respects Matthew Stover. You can tell that, and I feel like it comes through in a positive way. And I'm like, I think this is going to be really good. I think Cole's really going to like this one. Because remember, we all pushed him that way.
No. I don't know. You didn't. You lied. You lie. Or you misremember.
Oh, do I?
You told me to read Brotherhood.
Oh, okay.
Shadow of the Sith had not come out yet.
Okay. I remember we pushed you somewhere.
And I disregarded your sage advice.
Yeah. But I was like, yeah, this book is great. I love this book. I think this book is awesome. And then Cole was like, it's taken me forever to read it. But also, you did say you didn't dislike it. It was just...
that doesn't mean I didn't dislike it, because I did finish it.
Yeah, you were just... you were not propelled or compelled to move through it at a rate that you would read, say, a Timothy Zahn book or 2.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Is that what you read since then?
Yes. Yeah, I read two Timothy Zahn books. The first one was The Icarus Hunt, which came out in 1999. And the other one was The Icarus Plot, which came out like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, okay. Exciting.
They were both very good.
Shadows of the Sith at some point. I think my loan from the library is 2 weeks out.
Nice.
So
I really like Ochi of Bestoon. So
I thought he was great in that
He's
book.
so good, and I love him from the Vader comic. Like, his introduction to that is my favorite part of the current Vader run.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true. Sabe is my favorite part. Ochi is my second favorite
come
part.
On. That's ignorant.
you know that's not true.
That's ignorant.
Yeah. I just forgot that Sabe is there.
Yeah.
One of my probably top 10 favorite Star Wars characters. But Ochi in that series is great, and he's my favorite part of this book. I also am really enjoying Lando. I mentioned in the Discord how there's this part where I'm not gonna be spoilery, so don't worry, anyone who's listening who hasn't read it. But there is a part where Luke is feeling bad because he has to kill people, and like he wishes he could have like stopped them without killing them. And I just really love when he grapples with the light and the dark like that, because he's just so good. He's so good, and he knows, like, he knows what's right, and it's beautiful and hard to see him deal with that kind of thing.
It is, and I actually will say that it strengthens his character overall, and I really enjoy it, and I still love The Last Jedi Luke, but seeing that Luke... Actually, no, I don't think these two things... I'm thinking a little more. These two things are not mutually exclusive.
No.
It shows it shows how much... Not mutually exclusive, but they're not as at odds as I thought they were. No. It just shows how much the destruction of his temple really completely destroyed him. Because he, in this book, is so sure. Obviously he's unsure of a lot of things, like learning about the history of the Jedi and the Sith in this case.
One thing that I think is really interesting is his grappling with his connections with other people, which is something that he's always struggled with. And I don't know. I think he's coming to wrong conclusions, which we find out later affected him negatively. And so I think it's just really interesting to see him grappling with that. And that's probably my actual favorite thing about the book.
But what's one thing that this is a little bit spoilery, so maybe skip ahead a few minutes.
Not for me, right?
No, I don't.
Dakota, skip ahead.
I don't think so. It's really
grab
mild.
My time turner.
It's really mild, and if it's something you're concerned about, you already know about it.
Okay.
But it's so subtle because the few scenes that Luke has with Ben in this book, I feel like are really nice, are really touching. It really made me feel emotional in a way that I didn't think Ben Skywalker could really make me, or Ben Solo could make me feel. Sorry, wrong timeline. Ben Skywalker is someone else. But
so you said Ben, and I thought you meant Kenobi.
No, I meant Ben Solo. I mean Kylo Ren. There are quite a few Bens now, but so I'm sitting here reading those, and I'm like, oh, those are really nice. But now I'm thinking about it, and like Luke is. That's what you mentioned about him grappling with those attachments. He's just like, we need to be master and apprentice, not uncle and nephew. And it's like, well, if you were if you were uncle and nephew, a lot of pain could have been avoided. I think if you had acknowledged that is an important relationship as well, and not juxtapose the two against one another.
Yeah.
Because they can be one in the same relationship, and I wonder if somebody maybe led Luke astray, put some thoughts in his head that are Cole picked up on what I put down. Absolutely.
Say what?
I'm not saying Ahsoka is the reason Luke's Jedi Order failed. But I'm not saying it's not that she's not the reason.
Whatever. I think it's.
Sorry,
I think it's Obi-Wan and Yoda's fault just as much.
I think you're probably right. I think there are a lot of people who told Luke Luke wrong.
Yeah, I think Luke researching any part of Jedi history and speaking to the ghost of any Jedi and also speaking to Ahsoka, like, all of them are going to tell him the wrong thing because the Jedi Order was wrong.
I don't think that Anakin would tell him wrong about this particular thing.
Too bad he only got to talk to Anakin once, and that was it.
Yeah.
That was such a good scene, though. Wow.
It was really good.
Wow.
It was an excerpt. Like, if you've read that, I don't want to spoil it, but if you've read that excerpt between Anakin and Luke, you've read their entirety of their interaction in that book.
That's too bad.
Sorry, Dakota.
No. I wasn't waiting for it or anything like that.
But
I didn't think it was going to happen again.
The excerpt is the bit leading up to him appearing. So.
Oh, okay. You're right. But. Yeah, I don't know. I think one thing that's also important is, like, I did jokingly put it on Ahsoka there, but, like, honestly, a lot of it is on just Luke too, kind of ignoring what he learned, from his own experience and not trusting in what he learned. And it's I don't know,
because
I
it's
not the last of the old Jedi, the first
of the new,
and it's his attachment to Vader that helped him win in the end.
But it's like he forgets that. It's
exactly.
And I think he feels the pressure to be a Jedi, and what is a Jedi to him? The Jedi Order, and so he's like, "Oh, I should not have attachments," and it's like, but that's why you were able to make sure that you existed to start a new Jedi Order.
I understand that this is,
and he figured it out by the end of the saga. It's hard to see it at this part where he's still wrong.
But then he was dead.
He was dead, but hopefully Rey won't make the same mistakes.
Oh, she won't. And I love that Luke.
She loves her friends.
A few generations down the road, it'll probably happen again.
That's how Star Wars works,
Wow.
baby. It's good till it's not.
It's like poetry, it's rhymes.
Oh, well, also, at the end of Return of the Jedi, I would have said the same thing about Luke, and then we got the sequel trilogy. So, now I'd say the same thing about Rey, but God only knows what's in her future.
Well,
40 years from now, she'll be the old man hiding in the desert.
Yeah. When Disney does the sequel trilogy.
Daisy Ridley will be like, that's not really Rey Skywalker, that's more like, some other Skywalker.
I don't know. I love how little Luke has shown up in canon, and yet how much. And granted, it is subtext, and we're nerds, so we're looking into it. But like, how much you can glean about Luke's character from just the little bits that we've gotten of him, and what we have seen. Even though we haven't really gotten inside his head too much, it's just, I don't know. He's a good boy. Legends Luke also had similar struggles, especially later on in the timeline. So I think, I don't know, he's great. He's just always great to talk about. I love him.
Yeah, I think my enjoyment. Big surprise. I think part of one proof of my enjoyment of this book is that I'm 3/4 of the way finished. I've been reading 000 and Slave Ship for significantly longer. And I like... Okay, so update. I am invested and interested in 000 now.
Yes! Yes!
And
we got there.
I have high hopes. So at this point, I'm actually more invested in that than Slave Ship. Because I just struggled through that Kuat chapter. It was so hard for me. Oh, good. I just don't care. I don't care about Kuat, and I didn't like that chapter. And I only have one more chapter of that reading, and I haven't been able to pick it back up since I since I finished that Kuat chapter.
I'm realizing our podcasts are more and more every day, every week, becoming the same podcast.
Yeah.
It is like it is 2 episodes of two parts of the same episode every week of a podcast.
I mean,
because now we are straight up just talking about Abro Skywalkers on this podcast.
Well, it's relevant though, because that's the Star Wars I'm up to right now.
So what is it now? We are going to spoil 000 hardcore, but it is contextless, so probably won't. Yeah. Feel free if you want to take your headphones off. Feel free. We'll tell you when to come back.
I'm just gonna vibe here.
Alrighty. So Dakota,
I'll read this book in like 5 years, and I won't know anything.
It's gonna be great. Dakota, what is it that finally got you? What turned? Because obviously, I'm assuming it's still not your favorite Star Wars book, but
no.
What flipped for you?
Their mission to Coruscant is interesting.
Oh, it's so good.
I am excited. I think it's going to be more It is more personal. Not I think. It's more personal. They are. They're basically undercover, and they have a cool mission, and Scarada is cool.
To meet Cal finally.
Yeah.
And he is
yeah, he's great, and I'm really loving all of those interactions. So yeah, it's just a lot more enjoyable to me, and I already like it more than Hard Contact. So.
And the first, because as we've talked about, the first third of that book is just Hard Contact again. And then you meet Cal. I
got through that.
Yep.
And so now I'm interested.
And it's good. It's good. It's like this from now on.
Good.
So you have made it through the part that you don't love that much. So you're going to get through 000. I think it's great, especially once you get to the end. Woof. And then
I'm going to want to read True Colors.
You'll want to read True Colors, and you'll be happy that we've done it already.
Good. I believe that. I do want to keep as close as possible on to Slave Ship as I can. So I am trying to prioritize that over 000.
Okay, that makes sense. Slave Ship is good too, just in a different way.
I believe that.
You just have to, for those first few chapters especially, you just have to have an appreciation for people ruminating. For people thinking about their plans and deliberating,
I'm fine with that, except for when it's Kuat.
That doesn't happen a ton, I don't think. And when it does, I think the next time it happens, if I remember, well, I don't remember specifically, but as time goes on, as he's doing that, you have more context for what's actually happening. So he doesn't have to speak so vaguely about everything, and he's kind of just saying nothing for an entire chapter.
Yeah, because right now there's there's plot threads that we don't know the answers to, and he does. So it's like super vague and like, oh,
yeah,
what is going on here?
Yeah. But anyway, Slave Ship is good too. 000, real good. 000, I'm really glad you're digging it. But yeah, Eva,
getting audiobooks for those, which is nice.
Yes, at least Hard Contact, but I would assume we'd get all
they've
of them.
started every series they've started. They've gone through, the whole series, quote unquote.
Yeah, we actually talked about this.
The new ones, they don't have another X-Wing coming up, do they?
And that's what we talked.
They finished the Rogue Squadron series.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah, the fourth one's coming out in a couple months, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, last night on the podcast, I was kind of being devil's advocate and saying, like, being cynical again and saying, like, well, Rogue Squadron is coming out, ostensibly in a few years, and so they've rebranded those X-Wing books as the Rogue Squadron books. But as I'm thinking about it today, I'm like, there's no way they're not going to do Wraith Squadron, Cole. So it's like, I apologize to you. There was no reason to be negative on the podcast.
Someone has to be cynical.
I apologize
I'm
for
often
Ben's behavior.
I apologize. I forgot about that. I apologize for my behavior.
So there is a new audiobook for the Krytos Trap.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't find it on the internet.
The library
anywhere,
doesn't have it. Yeah, the library doesn't have it. They still just have the abridged version. So that's
really?
Abridged versions hurt my feelings so bad.
But the Back to War isn't out yet, correct?
No, that one's coming out in October or November, I think.
I'll have to do a request.
I'm going to look it up real quick. Because I know that next wave has already been confirmed. Then the wave after that has been leaked.
And we don't have Wraith Squadron, right?
No, that one has not been announced yet.
Okay.
I bet it doesn't get announced at least until after Republic Commando. If they... I'm trying to think of, like, what other big series they'd really want to hit. Cole, I will tell you, though...
All of the new Jedi Order.
Yes,
I was just getting ready to say...
That's why I was just grinning.
just getting ready to say, Cole, I will say, I will be sad if they don't announce Wraith Squadron and instead announce Vector Prime, but I also will not care. I need you to realize I will not care. I will be like, oh my god, they're doing it. It's happening. No Manor is here. Their invasion. It has begun.
Mercy Kill already has an unabridged audiobook.
Yes, because it's late. Yeah,
it's funny.
Why
is Cole gone?
I don't know what that means for hopefully we don't need the Zencaster recording. I don't know what's gonna happen here.
Sorry about that.
Yikes!
Something.
Well, You've got waveforms, so I imagine it's...
Yeah, my waveforms didn't went away, so...
Well, we need to be wrapping this one up anyway. Right? Because Eva is a little boy that needs to go to bed.
To end the podcast.
I'm telling you all, these are like my favorite episodes where we sit
down
and I don't know what we're talking about.
I agree with that.
And I always do have that little moment of panic, because Ash and I used to be so, like, we have a topic, we need a topic, it's going to be great, we've got a topic, awesome. And that still lives in my head.
Whatever.
Yeah, so now I'm just like, I'm just going to sit down and I'm going to talk about Star Wars for an hour.
Yeah.
And it always, but that anxiety is still there when we don't have a topic, and I'm like...
It's easier, though, because there's four of us, like, one of us is going to have something to say about Star Wars.
One of us is doing something, Eva is playing... Lego Star Wars again. I've decided, I think, actually, not to start that conversation up again, I've decided that I love the Nintendo Switch. I think it's fantastic. Like, one of my favorite consoles, if not my favorite console of all time. It's amazing. I also think that Lego Star Wars has the potential to look amazing. And I would love that.
As somebody who's playing it on PS5, yes.
And that's why I'm not buying it for Switch.
Yeah. I mean, of course, because it's like, I try not to be a shill for a specific gaming company, but
Emma is the Sony shill on this podcast for sure.
Yeah, like, if a game is on PlayStation, I'm buying it on PlayStation, because I'm dumb. And even if I don't get the Platinum, I love PlayStation, love the UI, love the controller, love it when I'm vibing and a trophy pops up and I'm like, tee I did something special. Love my Switch, but my Switch is literally, I use it for, like, indie games, Nintendo exclusives, and then games that I want to be able to play on the couch while I'm watching TV.
Yeah, I'm generally speaking, I'm there with you, except I am for Xbox. I will be buying a Series X. That's what I'm going to get when it's time for me to buy a new console. And I will shill for that once I get it. But yeah, I mean, Eva, I'm right there with you. If a game is on one of those consoles or PC and is meant for one of those consoles or PC, generally speaking, I'm going to buy it for that. But, you know, there is some stuff that, like, you know, you can't play Fire Emblem anywhere else. Actually, the new Square...
Live Alive.
Live Alive is also... I played the demo for that. That game is amazing. I cannot wait to get paid again to buy that.
We just got it in at the library. I was considering checking it out.
Yeah, I'm so distraught that my library doesn't have video games because I want to play Live Alive so bad, but I do not have the money to buy new games.
Yeah, it is so
like,
cool.
I've been buying Well, first of all, I haven't bought many games in the past months at all, and when I have, they've been on sale, so I've mostly been working through the backlog and then seeing what games are $15 or below on the PlayStation Store. And I keep hearing everyone talk about Live Alive, and I've watched so many videos and watched so many reviews, and I feel like I'm just staring out a window hoping for the day that I have $60.
It's like you're a kid again, but in the bad way.
Yeah.
Now, I will say, this Live Alive and Xenoblade Chronicles 3 are...
We also just got that.
I've heard, again, great things. Those are this month... Those two games, both, like, together, are this month's Kirby is my break from Elden Ring. Would you agree that it's like everyone is talking about those
I listened
games?
to last week's, because I'm always chronically behind on podcasts, I listened to last week's Get Played today.
Yeah.
And... the whole podcast was like
Heather's just talking about how she can't do anything but
sucks, and I'm playing Live Alive and Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and I was like, yep.
I just checked out Triangle Strategy.
I like that game a lot.
Yeah, I thought you both had told me I should play it.
Oh yeah, I forgot that Ben was playing. Yeah.
Did
Ben,
you finish it? I finished it. Did you finish it?
Yeah.
Why did we never talk about it? I thought the ending was so good. Granted, I've only done the one ending. But
yeah, me too.
It was.
I'm gonna play it on very hard.
Don't.
Just kidding. I'm playing it on very easy.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, even I wouldn't play it on very hard.
No, I played on normal. It's a tough game. It can be tough, but it's really rewarding. I think
very good.
I legitimately thought, and you know, because it starts out especially as just like, oh, this is a strategy RPG, and the story reflects that.
I will warn you, Dakota, it starts out really slow because there's a lot of dialogue, so you kind of have to push through, like, to get to the actual, like, game.
And so honestly, I shouldn't play it while I'm watching Bones at first.
No.
Probably not.
Once you get into a game...
The story is really good. That's not a mark against it. Like, the story is really good. It's just that there's a lot of it. So for large stretches of the game, sometimes you feel like you're not playing a game.
That's the worst thing, too, is that the story is good and, like, really enriches the game. So you can't say just skip the cutscenes. It's like, no, you really should watch the cutscenes.
Yeah.
But I finished it in, like, 25 hours. So, like, it's got some... And that's just one route. So it's definitely got some replay value, but if you're just looking to get 25 hours out of it, it's great. Anyway, this is not a video game podcast. Eva is trying to go to bed. And you know what? Truth be told,
you know, it's like I'm trying to go to bed, and then we start talking about video games.
I know.
Well,
we really don't even need to do the sign-off, because I bet a lot of people have already tuned out.
Did you mention like a tiny bit of news stuff?
Oh, there's news.
Princess and the Scoundrel's coming out, or has come out.
Yeah. It came out on Tuesday.
Yesterday.
Did y'all see the art for that, of the wedding? I'm posting it now.
Yeah, I did see that.
I didn't see that.
It was
I will take a look at that.
Ooh! That's really nice. nice.
I love it.
Pastor Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, I was about to say that too.
We are gathered here today by the will of the Force.
And some Ewoks and the droids and Chewbacca. That's all they needed.
That's really nice. I really like that.
That's really nice. And then also, I think we mentioned it earlier at the very least, that Rogue One is going back into theaters for IMAX screenings next weekend, starting on the 26th, and at least that weekend. I don't know if it's staying any longer than that, but it's going to have a preview for Andor attached.
So it does. I was right. Allison didn't believe me. She was just like, maybe they're just including the previews, and I'm like, I think we're getting a
It's got some kind of special thing attached to it, and Redditors have done the math, and like the length of the movie listed is like 9 minutes longer than the normal runtime, so some kind of previews attached.
Sweet. Well, anyway, I'm very excited.
Check it out if you have an IMAX screen nearby.
Yep,
I'm definitely going to.
I got my ticket last night for my birthday. On Friday, we're going to go up. We're going to get some dinner up there in Indianapolis. Then we're going to camp out.
The movie's coming up on 6 years old, which is crazy.
It is.
Wow.
I've never seen an IMAX movie.
Wow.
Oh.
You've never seen the IMAX?
Nope.
Wow.
I've never seen an IMAX movie, so I'm...
Pleb.
Cole, I don't watch movies. You know? And I'm like, I need to see Star Wars as soon as possible. I'm not driving to Indianapolis to do it when it comes out, you know? So that's why I always see
how long a drive is it to Indianapolis for you?
It's like
to the IMAX theater, it's a little over an hour.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Okay, so you have to drive that far for just any theater, basically.
Literally anything. Literally anything. Not even movies. Just whatever. Cole has to drive an hour.
I have to drive an hour to get out of my driveway.
That's terrible. Dakota, were you going to say something?
I have no idea.
Alrighty. Well, Cole, where can people find you on the internet?
I'm at Mandaraith and all the relevant social media places. And I'm on Abroad Skywalkers, where we're covering Slave Ship of the Bounty Hunter Wars. So that's fun times if you enjoy ruminating.
I love ruminating. Dakota, where are you on the internet?
I am on Instagram at Deviation of the Endless and Twitter at Endless Deviation with 1S. Sandman is on Netflix now, so people might start understanding my handle.
That's fun. I had no idea.
I didn't know
that's what that was.
From.
Yeah, but
I thought that you were just being like emo or something.
Yeah, I'm like.
I mean,
did you come up with that when you were 15. Yeah, me too.
No,
Yeah.
I am being emo, but it's also a clever reference.
Yeah, okay.
I thought it was like I'm 13 and just made my AOL screen name.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that's...
I think that I made that my handle on Twitter first, and I think I've only had my Twitter for like 7 or 8 years. So this was adult emo Dakota, who was also making a clever literary allusion.
Really terrible to think about the fact that you were an adult 7 or 8 years ago, isn't it? Sorry.
Yeah, it is.
Continue.
It's gross.
Oof.
I just turned 30, so
welcome to the club.
Thank you, Cole.
Every time I'm reminded, I'm like, ooh, scary.
Yeah, a little bit. And then tomorrow at work, I am recording an episode of the Work Podcast, and I'm going to be talking about tabletop RPGs that are not D&D. And that, I think, is coming out next Thursday, and that's called Random Lines.
You going to talk about Monster of the Week?
I am going to talk about Monster of the Week.
Oh, yeah. Eva, what about you?
And Thirsty Sword Lesbians.
Of course.
Ooh.
Of course.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Eva Herinkova, EvaHerinkova. And you can also find me writing about Star Wars content I have consumed on our website. I've not written any to catch up on the backlog recently, but perhaps I will do that soon. And I'm like halfway through Catalyst, so
Nice.
Mayhaps there will be one of those soon.
I gotta clean up the website. I'm sorry, listeners. You need to go check out the content, but I have let it lapse. I gotta fix it up.
I just realized I still haven't done my little timeline for Wedge's Gamble yet, so I need to put that up there too.
I'm looking through. You do. I'm looking through some of these Pokemon names that our patrons suggested for us during After Hours. They are bad. X Froglips X. No good.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Dave Felony. That one is pretty good. Anyway, this podcast is on Twitter, SW Skyhoppers. You can email us, skyhopperspodcast@gmail.com. Thank you, everybody, for bearing with me.
Cardes at
gmail.com. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with me, cutting that email from the end of the episode last week and putting it in the front.
Nice.
Ryan did message me and say none of that was necessary, but thank you. I'm like, cool, thanks.
Yeah, I mean,
thanks,
anything
Ryan.
For you, Ryan.
Yeah, and Brian was like, I didn't mean for you guys to go through any trouble. I'm like, Brian, please. I did this to myself. No one made me do this.
It was all self-made.
One made me do this.
Honestly, it wasn't even a cohesive podcast choice. Ben just decided to do that.
And then literally forgot to do it. The patrons got a version of the episode that did not have that because I forgot to do it. So,
wow.
Anyway, skyhopperspodcast@gmail.com if you want me to absolutely ruin an episode of this podcast for you.
Just specify how you want it done, and we'll do it.
And then, of course, patreon.com/skyhopperspodcast. Little as $1 a month. You get to watch us play Pokemon. You get to subject names for those Pokemon. You get to talk to us about Star Wars. Things have really been hopping in there again. We had like a summer vacation, and now everyone's back from summer vacation and ready to talk about Star Wars, and I'm here for it.
I remembered what it was.
It's the Andor hype train.
Yeah, we're all on the Andor hype train. I think that's everything. In fact, I'm gonna be sure of myself. That is everything.
Be sure of yourself.
Yeah,
Everybody,
no hedging, Ben.
No one has anything else to add, for sure. This is the Skyhoppers podcast, definitely signing off. For real.
Get this big walking carpet out of here.
You're funny, little boy.
Kendosi.